Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to your Daily Penguin. This is our tour through my Penguin Classic wall, book by book and author by author. And today we have a relatively new Penguin of a work from 1903. This is The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, who wrote this only 2 years after Booker T. Washington wrote Up From Slavery. And this is a collection of occasional pieces that Du Bois assembled into a book. And a little bit surprisingly, and in fact I think it surprised practically everybody except maybe himself, it became a huge bestseller. And it's about race relations in America, and it's over 100 years old, which makes it a little depressing to read, because a lot of the world of the scenario that Du Bois describes, reflects in these pieces, hasn't changed much at all. There's a introduction to this volume by Ibram X. Kendi, who went on after this to write a book called How to Be an Anti-Racist. And Kendi's introduction is remarkably eloquent. He refers to, for instance, the death of Du Bois' young son, Burghardt, who got sick, who sickened. His life, his brief life, and his sickening and death are the subject of my favorite piece in this book, The Death of a Firstborn Son. And at the time and the place where that happened, no white doctor would treat the boy, and Du Bois searched in vain for black doctors, and didn't find one in time, and the boy died. And Kendi, in his introduction, refers to that as a private lynching, as opposed to the public lynchings that Du Bois was also knew all about and raged against. And that is wonderful. That kind of phrasing is wonderful. Kendi's introduction has all sorts of great writing like that, because Kendi is an extremely effective writer. The problem with enlisting him to write an introduction to The Souls of Black Folk is that he is also a racist. And in the particular way of the 21st century, where the progressive wing of Western politics in the 21st century says that you can't be racist against white people. And as a result, books like How to Be an Anti-Racist have proliferated, and they're maddening. They're absolutely maddening. And Kendi actually, one of the problems with Kendi's thinking about race is, aside from how incredibly racist it is that with social progressives of his type, you know one thing for sure, which is that nothing will ever be good enough, and no one will ever be an ally. No one is safe. The self-righteousness of the writer in question, whoever they are, whether it's Ta-Nehisi Coates or Ibram X. Kendi or Roxane Gary or whoever, the self-righteousness of the writer in question is so ironclad that it will eventually shave off every one of its allies. Eventually, the only perfect person will be revealed to be the author themselves, as is evidenced in the introduction to this work, in a passage that is just jaw-dropping. He writes, Du Bois ends Soul's first and most enduring essay, quote, of our spiritual strivings, by expressing his dream, quote, that someday on American soil 2 world races may give to each other those characteristics both so sadly lack. He adds, we black men seem the sole oasis of simple faith and reverence in a dusty desert of dollars and smartness. And then Kendi goes on, but it is racist to assert that a race lacks characteristics. White people do not lack simple faith and reverence, and black people do not lack materialism and smartness. So for those of you in the cheap seats who may not believe your ears, in the introduction to The Souls of Black Folk, Ibram X. Kendi is calling W.E.B. Du Bois a racist. And I might point out, if we read that again, let's go over that one more time. It is racist to assert that a race lacks characteristics. Walk up to Ibram X. Kendi the next time he gives an event at your school and ask him a simple question. Are all white people racist? He will say yes. He has said yes many, 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 many times. He's in print and on record many times. So it seems that the whole white race lacks racial tolerance. In other words, a race lacks equality. which is exactly the point that I've been making about this guy and other race-baiting hucksters for a long time now, which is that the only reason they can get the mileage that they do is by being racist. You will find a version of the same thing with 21st century feminism. But it's particularly egregious in this case. How to Be an Anti-Racist is a deeply offensive book on one level. It's beautifully written. It's a fantastic reading experience, and it also has a lot of thought-provoking stuff in it. But it's deeply offensive in one of its underpinnings because it explicitly and implicitly tells the white reader that the only way you can be an anti-racist is to renounce everything about yourself and your upbringing because you are a Klan member. You are an active racist. And I'm sure that I'm not the only white reader of that book who finished it and said, well, screw you and the horse you rode in on. I don't have to partake of an evil I've been fighting against my whole life just to win your approval. Unfortunate. So it's unfortunate that this is the introduction to this work. But the work itself is brilliant. The work itself is amazing. In terms of everything, the ideas that it has, yes, are really good. Like, for instance, let me read you. Maybe that's Irmex candy. Maybe he's out in the yard. I'm assuming you can concentrate around that because that could go on all day. Let me read you just a bit of what he says here that gets people up in arms today as much as it did 100 years ago. It is not enough for the Negroes to declare that color prejudice is the sole cause of their social condition, nor for the white South to reply that their social condition is the main cause of prejudice. That kind of thinking runs throughout this book, the kind of thinking that makes you stop, take a step back, and think, whoa, okay, let me think about that for a minute. Well, these pieces are great. I love the book. I used to have a little mass market paperback of it. I beat it all to hell and gone. So I was very happy when Penguin sent me this new trade paperback. The only problem with it is the introduction. So if they ever do another one, then maybe they'll get somebody else to write an introduction, and I will like that a lot better. But I do love this. That cover is by Kadir Nelson. That is just terrific. The sun coming up on the tenements like that. That is just terrific. So that is your Penguin for today, complete with compulsive horn honking, is The Souls of Blackfoot, which is from 1903. So we'll see what Penguin gives us tomorrow. Will we be in the 20th century now? Who knows? I will wrap this up for now, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.